are listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. Welcome and thank you for joining me for another episode. I just told Harvey if he's going to be in here with me, he's going to stay for the duration because there's no exiting halfway through. And I have a feeling it's going to get a little warm in here because we have no air vent in this room and he's already breathing kind of heavy. So if you hear huffing and puffing in the background, it's my puppers who's sticking it out with me. Okay, I got a really great question in the other day that I thought this is going to be worth spending some time with on the podcast. It actually started with a mini rave. It said, I listen and read your blogs each day. Thank you so much for your beautiful content. We're all blessed to have you. Thank you for that. And here's the question. I currently have long COVID symptoms. Basically, the virus is lingering in my system. It's been a couple months. I'm moving along. They say it takes 6 to 8 months to be clear of it. The fatigue is really intense. My question is, could you do a podcast or a blog about health stuff? And then it continues, I expect I will heal faster than others, and any day now I'll find I'm better. That's a really good expectation. Kudos to you for holding that one. I am enjoying my days as much as I can. That's another super LOA savvy move. She writes, finding it easier now than initially, I will admit. I don't want to wait for results to be happy. Also very smart of you. I can be happy now, of course. But is there anything else other than finding joy each day, however I can? Well, I love that you are already expecting your healing to be swifter than what they told you to plan on. I think that's a helpful advantage to have on your side. And I love that you are enjoying as much as you can under the circumstances. And yeah, I do have some thoughts about what else to add. I actually had this happen too. It wasn't with long COVID. I'm still a COVID virgin, believe it or not. But this was with adrenal fatigue. And the medical professionals had some strong ideas. They had a consensus about how long it takes to heal from that. They said, look, it took years to create this adrenal fatigue, and it takes years to heal from it. I read that, and I was like, maybe for you, but not for me. I've got this. And you know what? It took years. It did, even though I can't say I fully expected, but I feel like I did expect that I was capable of doing it different than the muggle doctors said it was going to be. And I think the reason why it took me longer than I really wanted it to, I think it's actually twofold. And I'm not saying that this is the case for you, but here's what it was for me. At least I think. This is my best take on it in hindsight, which is that I didn't release my resistance to the experience. I wanted it over. And that pushing against it just locked it in place. Yes, I was expecting a quicker healing, but that can't happen while I'm opposing what's happening. And I had not embraced it. I wanted it over. I wanted it done. I wanted to be healed. I wasn't willing to be where I was. So my expectation for swift healing, it was sourced from a strong don't want this. It took me a while to realize that I was in resistance to what I was experiencing. So I realized I'm going to need to change that routine because I know how this vibrational stuff works. So I worked on making some peace with it. I mean, just making peace would be an improvement, but what I was really shooting for was being willing to embrace it, to say yes to it, like it was a welcome visitor in my life instead of just, okay, I'll ride it out as long as I have to. I knew I could do better than that vibrationally. So the more I made peace with it, the less resistance I had, and the more I healed. So that was one piece of it, just, making peace or being able to embrace it or say yes to it, which is part of the dropping resistance. But the other was, well, and this is actually part of dropping resistance too. It was to receive the gift that it offered me, because it did bring gifts, which I was not seeing. I was not seeing those at all. I was seeing it as a punishment for my wrong ways, all those years of ignoring my guidance and letting stress rule my day and not honoring what felt better, and instead just doing that continual routine of pushing. So, it made sense that this is the consequence. I was thinking of this as, a result of my misguided lifestyle, not thinking of it as a gift at all. So when I started looking at it differently, asking myself, okay, well, not just is there a gift here? I knew there was a gift here because, hello, if it's happening to me, it's good news. That's one of my stories. I like to keep some good momentum on. So of course there's a gift here because everything is for me. It's not against me. And when I was willing to see the experience differently and to be open to receive the gifts, which can only come when I really and truly stop pushing against and stop judging the experience, then I can receive those gifts. And then that's when the whole thing can complete itself. Like I wouldn't want to wish it away until I got the gift. Otherwise, something else is probably going to come along that's going to try to deliver the gift in another way. And I'd rather get it the first time. And I really do think of it as a gift. That's not just a trick of the language. I really do believe that all this is happening for me. And I don't think I'm special. I think it's for all of us. It's for us. So when it came to adrenal fatigue, the gift for me, and I'm not saying this is for anyone else, but for me, it was to make a stronger commitment to listen to guidance and to not just be willing to put up with stress, but to make different choices. And, look, I had done that to a certain extent, but I had room for improvement. So the gift was that it took me to a much higher level in that practice than I was at before. And there were other gifts besides that, but that felt like the key one for me. So my answer to your question, what else to do besides expect a healing and do your best to enjoy? 1, release resistance, any lingering resistance you might have. And if you can't say that you are happy to have it, then there's still some resistance. I know that's a high measure, but look, I'm talking to a savvy creator. I would not say that to the average person on the street. That would just be mean. But those of us who understand how we create our reality and the role of energy and vibration in that, I think you can hear that. So 1, release resistance. And 2, receive the gift of this experience. Just know that it's for you. It's not against you. And realizing how that's so will help remove your resistance to it and allow it to complete itself. And if we're doing it to make it end, that's not a full embracing. You know what I mean? That's like saying, okay, I'm going to say yes to you so you will go away. That's not 100% legit. It might be a vibrational improvement, but yeah, keep that in mind. So when you see what gift it might be offering, and I'm not saying that I know for sure that it is. I don't know your experience. I really don't. But for me, that's where I like to go with this, because when I can look for the gift, it makes it a lot easier to truly embrace it and thank it and say yes to it. In fact, I've got 2 personal stories on the topic of body that I can share. Those of you who've been listening to all these episodes, you will have heard these before, but for some of you, this might be new because I don't talk about it a whole bunch. So on the topic of releasing resistance, that's right. Oh, my shoulder. I won't go into great detail. I have done it in a different podcast, but my shoulder was giving me some sort of trouble to the point where, I couldn't feel my fingers. For a while, they were numb and tingly, and it was working its way up my arm and shoulder pain. It was so bad that I could not be prone for basically more than maybe 2.5 hours before I was in so much pain. I had to lie down in order to get relief. And it was so, a major interruption in my life. Yeah, I did not like it. And I tried everything possible to fix it. At first, I was like, that's weird. I was kind of waiting for it to go away. It didn't. It was getting worse. And I started to get nervous about it. I started to entertain some worst case scenarios. And then I eventually was like, you're going to need to do something about this. This is me doing the muggle routine. Oh, I hired healers. I went to one who, not helping, it was only getting worse. So I hired another. And then it got to the point where, like, on some days, I was going to 2 different healers in one day. Like, most days I went to at least one. Some days I was going to 2. It was a lot of time. It was a lot of expense. And nothing was working. It was only getting worse the more they did. And seriously, I tried everything. I don't know a single thing I didn't try. If I knew about something that might help, I found someone to do it. And it was both traditional, like, regular doctors. Okay, I didn't have the surgery. Someone said, you're going to have surgery, and surgery isn't all that reliable. And I was like, oh, dang, I really don't want to do that. So I didn't get that far, but I really didn't want to have a surgery. But I also went to energy healers. I did all the things besides address it vibrationally until after, several weeks. Was it possible? It was 2 or 3 months. It could have been that long. One day I finally just realized, after nothing was working, I was like, you know what? This just might be what it is for me from now on. Because I was working, I was typing, I was really enjoying what I was doing. And then it just got so painful. I knew I'd hit my limit. This was as much as I could do for the day. I had to go lay down on the floor to start to feel better because it was just too painful to keep doing it. But as I was typing, and I was like, yep, you just hit the limit. Got to go lay down. But I didn't want to lay down. And I said to myself, you know what, Jeanette? Like, this just spontaneously came to me. This wasn't me self-soothing. It just came to me that this might be what it is for you from now on. You might need to learn how to live with this. And in that moment, something magical happened. Something magical happened. In that moment of spontaneous acceptance, and it was kind of like a throwing my hands up in the air. It's kind of like, what are you going to do? This is just how it is. Guess you're going to have to live with it. It wasn't joyful, but it was making some peace. All right. There was some acceptance in that routine instead of how I'd been doing it all along. And in that moment, when I stopped pushing against it and making it all wrong, and instead I just said okay to it, something shifted. Something shifted. I felt better. Not physically better, because I still had the exact same physical pain, but my emotional story around it, big improvement there. And I hadn't realized how much that was contributing to my discomfort until it wasn't there anymore. I'd like to say that, I was super smart and savvy and I did that on purpose, but no, it just spontaneously came. And it did feel better. Even though the physical pain was still there, I felt improvement. It registered. The vibrational shift, it registered with me. So I stopped trying to do it. Although I did still have, I had one more appointment. You buy packages from all these healers. I had one more left with, she was doing some sort of acupuncture, like dry needling or something. I went and did that. I did that appointment with her, and she did dry needles instead of the regular needles she'd been doing. So that was different. The other thing was I went to my energy healer, and she did something. I can't say I felt any different, but those were the 2 more. I did those 2 appointments after I decided that, you know what, this might be how it is for you, girlfriend. You might need to get over it. I did get over it. I don't know if either of those healers get any credit for what unfolded, but what I do know is that a couple of weeks later, I realized that the pain was 93% gone. It was like I could still feel the remnants of it when I looked for it, but just barely. I could barely tell it was still there. It wasn't fully gone, but it was so mostly gone I'd forgotten about it. It was no longer this major impediment to my life. And the reason I didn't notice it getting better, because I just made some sort of peace with it. I wasn't counting the days for it to be gone. Anyway, that was one story. I had another one for receiving the gift. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, so wow, did I have some weight gain for a period of time. I'll spare you the long version of the story, but the essence of it was that the whole time I was trying to fix this inexplicable weight gain. Of course, it's explicable when you look at it vibrationally once it started. And who knows what started it? Wow, it is warm in here. Harvey's a trooper for not asking. We're going to have to tell a short version of this story for sure. Okay, what was that? Oh, yeah. Hello. Yeah. Anyway, weight gain. Nothing I was trying to do to fix it was working. And the whole time I was treating my body like something had gone very wrong that we needed to correct for pronto. It was so crazy. It was just crazy. Anyway, the more she gained, the more I judged, the more I criticized this body, the more desperate I got. And I don't know if you could tell, but that's not the vibration of love. I was in the vibration of judgment and betrayal. It felt faulty. It felt uncooperative. It felt like my body was against me. There was no, all right, maybe I'm exaggerating to say there was no love, but maybe not. Love was not, it was certainly not a dominant vibration. I don't think it was even a remnant of one. It was, I didn't have love. My vibration was fix it before this gets even worse. And of course, that's all it can do is get worse when that's what I'm dialed on. So once I realized that routine that I was locked in, I threw my hands up in the air and said, okay, that's not working. And in that moment, I understood why it couldn't do what I wanted it to, because I was dialed on not this. So all it can give me is more of that. And that's when I realized what it must be like. Oh, I'm getting emotional. What it was like to be my body. Oh, my word, just totally abandoned. Here we are supposed to be in this together. And I was just blaming her and judging her and kind of disgusted by her. Oh, my word. So brutal. That body was getting no love from me, just blame and criticism. And frankly, I was in some fear, like, okay, what's going on here? Where's this going to end? She was missing the love for me. And you know what? Love is unconditional by definition. If it's conditional, it's not love. So I was not flowing any love to my body. It was not love. And I know how this stuff works. I know resistance isn't going to get me anywhere good, and that love is the opposite of resistance. So I started practicing, and it was a practice. I practiced loving that body as is, not imagining that she was better, not pretending I was already there. I'd done that before. I'd gotten results from that, but that doesn't feel like love to me. That did not feel like love. So I just practiced loving her as is, and that took a minute. But once I got there and I kept it up for a while, I don't actually remember how long. This is just like with my shoulder, because guess what? I wasn't counting the days until a change happened, because that's not what you do when you're loving it, not genuinely. And I wasn't just at peace. I was in love with, I was appreciating. I was saying yes to it. I was finding it gorgeous and beautiful. And that didn't happen on the first day. It was a practice. But man, once I got good at that, it helped that I had a boyfriend too. I had a boyfriend at the time who I just practiced seeing things through his eyes. That helped quite a bit. Anyway, I wasn't paying that much attention because I was just deciding to love and appreciate it. And then one day I was in the shower, I was lathering up, and as my hand passed over my stomach, normally that's when I get to appreciate my nice round belly. The one that I had refused to ever touch before, no one was allowed to touch it. He knew, my boyfriend knew, do not touch her stomach. But I had learned how to love it. So my hand passes over and my round belly was gone. My round belly was gone. I had flat abs. And my first thought was how mad I was. I was so mad because I thought, just when I learned to love it, it's gone. And once upon a time, all I wanted was flat abs. But in that moment, I was missing my round belly that I'd come to truly love. I did get over that, and I picked up my unconditional love routine again, but the reason I'm telling you this is because the gift that stubborn weight gain gave me was how to tap into unconditional love for my physical self.
And that was a new routine for me. No one else was teaching me that. I wasn't learning it from my boyfriend. I wasn't learning it anywhere. My body made me learn it. She was so stubborn. She refused to conform to my ideas of what she should be so I could feel better. And I got to learn unconditional love. Come on. How many people learn that? Not everyone does. I did. I say did because I get to pick up that routine again. I can slip into judgment of what my body's doing, whether it's an aging routine or whatever's going on. But what I did learn was that was a tremendous gift. I really don't think any other teacher could have taught me that the way my body did. Big, big gift. So, when it comes to receiving the gift, you can ask your body, what do you have for me? Or ask the virus, maybe. Or another way to do this, I learned this from Martha Beck, you can pretend to be the virus or your body and ask, as you're imagining being that, ask yourself, what do you have to say to Jeanette? Or, just have a conversation. You give that a voice and you listen for what comes as you ask the question, do you have a message for me? Or do you have a gift for me? Or what would you like me to know? Uncensored, unedited, just listen for what comes, and you can actually have a conversation. You can ask follow-up questions and see if you get any insights. Or you could just entertain the question yourself, what good thing is coming from this? Or you can ask your divine team, angels or guides, whoever you like to talk to, and say, hey, what's here for me? What do you want me to get out of this? Or you could journal, or you could meditate. Oh, there's a question sometimes is insightful. What does this experience allow me to do or keep me from having to do? Sometimes that can reveal payoffs or counter intentions that are good to clear up. Ooh, I did that with my personal experience with COVID. And again, I haven't had it, but the whole world had it. The whole world, we all had some sort of experience with COVID. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe not everyone did, but once I realized we're looking at a global pandemic here, I was like, I think I would like to receive the gifts from this virus the easy way, not the hard way. So I said, virus, what do you have for me? And I got answers. My answers were that it gave me permission to have some things that I'd been wanting but hadn't been willing to give myself until the virus showed up and gave me the perfect excuse. So it showed me where my self-love gap was, because I knew I wanted those things, but I didn't feel like it was appropriate to give them to myself. So the virus showed me how life could get even better if I would just let it. I know this is not what your situation is. I'm just sharing mine as an example of how this could go, but yours will be very different. But yeah, COVID showed me where I wasn't honoring inspiration in the way that I know to. I know this stuff. And I had a gap that the virus showed me. Specifically, like, there was more than one gift. One of them was, my dating routine. Love interests. Ooh, could you hear my little attitude when I said that? Yeah. They want to do a chemistry check pretty early. You meet, maybe exchange a few texts or whatever, talk on the phone maybe, but pretty quickly they want to meet in person. And I get it. They have reasons why. I get it. So fine, whatever. I was doing that, but that was not my joy. That was not my joy. My joy is, let's get to know each other first. That's my joy. And COVID required it. COVID required that. There was lots of texting and phoning. Oh, that was so much better than just caving to their desire to meet in person. Oh my gosh, to get to know someone that way first. Oh, I like it so much better. So that was one gift. Another one was, never making myself travel anywhere I didn't want to go to again. I don't like traveling. I'm a homebody introvert. I don't like to go anywhere. It was so perfect for me. And also, it allowed me to honor the sacred space that my home is. My home is a sanctuary. Instead of just letting anyone in the door who happened to want to stop by, because my home, it's a very consciously cultivated space of good vibrations. And COVID gave me a great excuse to say, yeah, don't come over. I mean, I was trying to be cool with friends or neighbors or love interests who, wanted to come over, but COVID was my excuse to say, yeah, no visitors, thanks. I mean, I had a couple of exceptions. They were carefully chosen exceptions. Oh, can you hear the smile on my face? I so liked it. That was a gift I wasn't willing to give myself. COVID brought me that. Yeah. So it was basically teaching me to honor what I wanted, and it did it in lots of ways. It was such a gift. And again, that's me. I don't expect anyone else to be able to relate to what I just shared because it's different for each of us. Only you can know what your answers are or what to make of your experience. I don't have any insight on that, but we each get to make it up. Okay, so I was trying to have this be so short. My short answer to your question about what else you could be doing besides expecting a healing and doing your best to stay in enjoyment, and those are two powerful things. Kudos to you for that. The only thing I would add is allow, accept, embrace, and then maybe ask, what's right about this? Like really, truly make some peace with it, and then if you can maybe even get to appreciation about it, that would be even better. So expect a healing, but don't need it. Keep enjoying what you can, knowing that your feelings are not dependent on your circumstances, and then, drum roll, you get to prove it. That cannot be lip service. When you really, truly get to feeling better despite what your current physical status is, that's a vibrational shift that registers with universe, and it gets answered. So drop resistance by saying yes to it. Look for the gift. Ooh, hey, speaking of the subject of body thriving, we're diving into this subject next month at Good Vibe University. We're doing body love. Yeah, it's up for me again. It's getting some deliberate attention from me. So it's for all Good Vibe University members. If you're a member, you've got access to it. If you're not a member, you are invited to join us. You can go to goodvibeuniversity.com for enrollment details. And thank you. I just want to say thanks for this question. It was super fun to explore. I'm sending good vibrations your way and imagining. I'm imagining that by the time you listen to this, you're already delighted with your progress, that you've already discovered what this has for you in a positive way. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you got some sort of inspiration from today's episode. Happy manifesting.